there's probably a good 30 or 40 people that DM'd me who are just solid operators who, they'd been gone to their own stuff. So now they were going to go and sort of seek some professional help.
All right. Simesy.
How you going, dude?
Good, mate. How you going?
Yeah.
So congrats on your podcast fucking results this year.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I really appreciate it. It was,
Did you think you'd have over 1,000 people on and listen to you gob off?
Nah, not at all. They'd probably turn it off just because I was gobbing off, I reckon. Yeah.
Nice. So I just got a couple of questions for you to see how we went with it all. How, if at all, has life been different since you did the podcast and shared your story?
I think, honestly, dude, it's just been a humbling experience. There's been, I think there was a lot of times before the podcast where I just never wanted to talk about those sorts of deep things, I guess, like, depression and anxiety and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But since doing it and having a lot of positive feedback from so many guys that I respect, it's made me feel more positive about myself, and made me want to continue on the path of just being better and trying to improve and just be a good voice in the veteran community and listen and share my story, but also be able to. It's made me want to, I think, speak about it a little bit more often, in the right places, where it will help other veterans that are going through similar issues.
Yeah, beautiful. We're kind of segues into the next question. Did appearing on the podcast create any new connections or opportunities in any way, shape or form that you hadn't expected?
It hasn't yet. There are things that I've sort of had sort of pre-planned before the podcast, like doing some mentoring and that sort of stuff in different sort of areas, like Kokoda. I'm going to do Kokoda next year, the Kokoda Trek.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going on that as a mentor with Walk With Us Kokoda.
Okay.
And that's going to be something where I can sort of just be a voice for a veteran with a number of other veterans on that, with also civilians going on the trek as well. So I think that's important, just being able to do that sort of stuff, but also for myself, doing it for me, just to push myself, do something hard and try and feel that purpose of doing hard things again.
Yeah.
But also I guess it's opened doors in ways where people have reached out to me and asked me if they can catch up for a coffee and those sorts of things. So it's opened doors for myself to be able to try and help other people navigate through a difficult journey for themselves, sort of thing. So I see that as like a door that's been opened for me where I can actually maybe help somebody else going through a similar thing.
Yeah, giving people a bit of insight into your life and made them feel a bit closer and want to have a chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice. You kind of mentioned this before, but has sharing your experiences publicly changed the way you think about your own journey and service?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing is that it's just given me confidence to talk about it, because I think when we hide these big issues, anyone that's gone through, depression, anxiety, PTSD or anything like that, they're large issues and they need to be faced. And when you don't face them and you sort of just bury them deep down, like a lot of us do for so long, they only sort of fester. And, like everyone always says in the army, things don't get better with age, so you need to sort of address them as soon as possible. And for me, it took a long time for me to address these problems. And now that I've sort of been addressing them over the last couple of years, and then being able to directly go out there and talk about like my journey with mental health and those sorts of things, it's helped me understand that other people are also going through this sort of stuff. And it's it's just been basically like a positive reinforcement for myself that, hey, you know, you're not alone. If you try and bury this sort of stuff, it doesn't get better, it just gets worse. And so now I feel happy that I've been able to speak out about it. I was pretty nervous once we actually recorded the podcast. I wasn't sure what the feedback was going to be. Because, you know, I don't try to make things too depressing. Like I feel like I'm a fairly fun guy and that sort of stuff. But sometimes those things need to be spoken about. And the amount of people who reached out to me after the podcast episode, there's probably a good 30 or 40 people that DM'd me and sort of wanted to talk about their journey. And they just were congratulating me for a start that I'd sort of gone on the podcast to speak about it openly. But also they then sort of started sharing some feelings that they've been having and some of the things that they've gone through. And they were telling, you know, a number of people told me that since watching the podcast or listening to the podcast that, you know, they'd been going through their own stuff. So now they were going to go and sort of seek some professional advice and some professional help, which is really good because there's a number of guys there who are just solid operators who, I don't know, I guess for myself, like I just never thought that they, you know, everyone's going through something. We know that. But it was people that I didn't expect to reach out that reached out. And yeah, we're really sort of vulnerable, I guess, and open to sharing their experiences and sort of just applauding what I'd been able to do, which will then help somebody else. So yeah, it's been nice and it's just been super humbling and I'm super grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, made a couple of good points there. That just bottling the shit and packing it all in, like it's not just going to dissipate and disappear with time. It's just going to get fucking more and more, build up more and more until it all explodes in a negative outburst of some sort.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And sharing your experience made you feel less alone, but also made others feel less alone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
massive. Yeah. Looking back, what part of your story resonated with listeners the most or surprised you with how they responded?
I think, you know, it's funny actually, like the amount of dark humour that we all have, I guess, in the military as veterans and that sort of thing, or in the first responder, emergency response sort of employment categories sort of thing, or, you know, emergency responders and that sort of thing. You know, we all have like super dark humour and that sort of thing. And yeah, some of the lads were messaging me just the funniest stuff, you know, like it was just super dark, but then they'd come and go into it like, okay, but seriously, like, no, this is good, mate. You know, I liked how you spoke about, you know, depression, anxiety and that sort of stuff. And, but, you know, it's funny how they would come into it with a bit of dark humour first, give you a bit of shit and go, but actually, like, I've been facing a bit of that stuff as well. So maybe I'll go and do something about it. So I think just being able to, I think like what resonated with a lot of people the most was just everyone's dealing with some mental health crisis at some stage of their life, you know, whether it be, you know, a really sort of, I guess, bad place that they're in, or, you know, I'm starting to get these feelings, but I think I'm all good, but I might want to get them checked now before they turn into that spiraling sort of thing. So I think, yeah, just the whole mental health journey is that I'd gone on and I'm still on. I think that's what resonated with people the most. Just, and the fact that, you know, like, as I said, I'd had a lot of problems doing basic things like driving and that sort of stuff after having, you know, years of endless dreams every night and things like that. I think that's something that I didn't really touch on the podcast, but just lots of bad dreams and things like that. And that's what was holding me back from driving, and basic things like driving and that sort of stuff, or crowded areas. The amount of dudes that got to me and were like, hey man, I've had problems with driving, just basic stuff like driving or being in a shopping centre and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that resonated with people a lot. So yeah, that was a pretty big one.
Yeah. Awesome. And pretty obvious, but are you glad you did it? And would you recommend that other vets do it? get
Yeah.
their voices out there.
I think so. I think
Sure.
it was a really cathartic experience, and it's, as I said earlier, like it's made me want to do more in that space. I think when I can try and find the time to divide my professional endeavours properly, I'd like to probably try and get into that space a little bit more and just see what I can do, just volunteer and that sort of stuff. It's not something that I want to, go and work for an organisation for money or anything. I feel like I want to give back by volunteering and that sort of thing. So I never knew that. Well, I sort of had a good idea that that's the sort of thing that I like to do, like give back to people and that sort of thing and try and help. But the podcast has really bolstered my, I guess, optimism for going out and doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that I've done it. And I would recommend it to other veterans, if they feel like they've got a story to tell, and a lot of them do, There's probably a heap out there who feel like they don't have a story to tell.
Yeah.
A couple of guys told me that, but like I know that they have a story to tell, and it's definitely worth sharing. And I think if you want to take that step, then definitely hit up yourself and try and get your story out
Jump
there.
on.
And because as I said, it's just a cathartic experience.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, cathartic, and just the legacy and you've got kids. Your kids will understand you, maybe not when they're growing up and teenagers and stuff, but later on when you're older, they'll want to know what you did and how you felt about it. And your grandkids will be like, oh, what did granddad do? And they'll love to hear about it from your own words, right? And seeing your face on the screen, I think that's extremely powerful later on as well.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, you had over 1,300 people and counting watch your podcast, and obviously thousands watching the reels.
Unreal.
Got your
Oh, very nice.
little singlet to keep you fucking
Beauty.
covered during summer.
Mate, I'll have to rep this in the gym.
Oh yeah, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm wearing one right now actually.
Yeah, we'll get some
Nice
questions
and
being
white.
asked, and I'll sort of point them in the direction of the podcast, YouTube
No.
or Spotify sort of thing, and see if we can get some more eyes on it.
Awesome. And you can find Simesy Squared Away Landscaping if you want to get your lawns mowed by a pro.
Yeah, Squared Away Landscaping. So I'm not
Landscaper, right?
it's a little play on words. So I'm not actually a landscaper. I just do lawn mowing.
I'm a
so-
landscaper.
Landscaping. Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. Awesome, bro. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.